Hi, I just want to talk to you about how to cope with an English exam. The exams are nearly upon us. There are a few things that you need to do. Firstly, remember, you can use English well. You speak English every day of your life and you understand it most of the time. So you are already set up to do well in this exam. Secondly, get enough sleep. Get to bed on time. Don't sleep in too much either on the few days before the exam. Don't panic the night before the exam. Don't plan to do all your revision the evening before the exam. Just maybe go through your ideas briefly and just make sure you get a good night's sleep and get the chance to relax. Thirdly, do not underestimate the value of the few days leading up to the exam in terms of preparation. If you think it's too late, you are wrong. The benefit of rereading your texts, rereading of Mice and Men, Martin Pig, whatever it is that you're studying, The Crucible, Inspector Calls, writing paragraphs of analysis, maybe writing a plan for an essay, memorizing quotations that are going to be useful, reminding yourself of facts and context for Of Mice and Men for the culture will all be really useful. Talking about your texts to someone else, reading it through aloud. Next point, on the morning of the exam, don't go off on one to your friends about how anxious you are. Don't throw out loads of anxious tweets or anxious status updates on Facebook. Keep your cool and keep everything close to your chest. Don't spill out all your ideas to your friends either. Just keep them there ready. Just keep running through them in your head and just keeping yourself contained. A bit like just before a match or before a game when you're competing in a sport. You need just to keep focused on the exam that is to come. Save all your energy. Do not expend emotional energy just before the exam. You'll get into the exam and you'll feel drained, and that will be no good. Keep running over the key points in your mind, in your head, as you're getting ready to come into school, as you're walking to school, as you're waiting for the exam, as you're listening to the briefing beforehand. Make sure you get there in time for the briefing. Don't arrive late because that will stress you out. As you start the exam, read every question that you need to answer. Remember, for the first part of Monday's exam, you will be choosing one question out of two, so think carefully which one you want to do. And for the second part, for the Of Mice and Men, have a look at the extract, have a read through it, look at what they're asking you to focus on, maybe do some initial annotations even before you answer your first question. Think when you see the exam paper. Allow yourself breathing time. Ask yourself, how am I going to answer this question best? What is it that they're wanting me to show? What are the main points I can answer? If your mind goes a little bit blank, do a bit of spider diagramming, a little bit of planning, a little bit of jotting down. Don't flick hopelessly through the book, glancing at this page and that page, because both books are long and it's going to take you a long time to come up with ideas. Allow what you know, your knowledge of the book, to settle and allow the events and the circumstances that are going to be most relevant to the question to spring to mind, and bullet point those down as part of your plan to help you remember. You only have 45 minutes for each question, so you do not have time to reread pages of the novel. You really don't. You've really got to go into the exam with some quotations to hand. Ask yourself these questions as you are writing your answers. Keep asking yourself these questions. Firstly, am I using paragraphs? Am I changing paragraph and am I linking my points up? Secondly, are you quoting? Are you backing up your statements with evidence? Now, if you cannot find the quotation that you need from the book, refer to the event instead, and that will be acceptable. If you cannot find the exact word-for-word quotation, don't put it in quotation marks, but say when George says this to Lenny, or when Carlson makes this comment, and that will be fine. The examiner knows you're under exam conditions. Don't worry under exam conditions about getting your quotation word for word, particularly if you've memorized it. An approximation to a quotation will be enough, as long as you aren't totally making up things that no character said or did. That will not look good. Are you talking about the effect of the language, particularly for the Martin Pig or the In Spectacles or the Crucible? Are you analysing the effect of language, the effect of structure, the genre, the style of the writer? Remember, none of these characters are real. They are all fictionalised. The writer has an intention in conveying all these. Remember, Curly's wife is not, Steinbeck does not think that Curly's wife is a tart, but the characters in the novel do. Why does he represent them like that? Finally, are you answering the question? Keep asking yourself this. Keep reminding yourself what the question is. It's no good telling the examiner the story of Martin Pig, or telling the examiner what George and Lenny do and what George does to Lenny. You are not there to tell the story, you are there to answer the question the examiner has given. Focus on the question is a key criteria for the higher mark bands. Now, once you've finished the exam, do make sure that you allow enough time to check for spelling and punctuation. If you get a little bit stressed or your hand gets a little bit tired as you're writing, finish at the end of a sentence, put a full stop, and just reread what you've written with your pen there, ready to add capital letters, ready to correct spellings, ready to add words that you've missed, question marks that you've missed. Expect yourself to make mistakes under exam conditions and be ready to read and to correct. You get 4 marks for each essay for spelling, punctuation and grammar, and those 4 marks are worth picking up. So once you finish the exam, talk to your friends, ask them how it went, but do not get worried by what other people say. Do not assume that you've mucked it up, even if you're a bit unsure. Time will tell. Nothing that you do now, once you've got out of that exam hall, will add or take away from what you have achieved in that exam. You deserve to pat yourself on the back. You're still here, you're still moving, you're still living. Put it behind you, relax, do something pleasant, do something enjoyable, cross it off a big list of exams if you've not already written a big list of exams so that you feel good, and then calmly start preparing for your next exam. And I wish you the best of luck.